Armadillo Kat. I'm a self-taught illustrator and I've been drawing for about 10 years. And today I'm going to be testing out Wacom's new product, the Wacom One 14-inch pen display tablet, which is this lovely device right here. For testing this product out, I collaborated with one of my friends to make a new Dungeons & Dragons character for a campaign we're starting up. Because of the season and spooky and whatnot, we decided, let's make a vampire. We thought it'd be a fun little challenge. I approached this project by first discussing with my friend who this character is, what setting is he in, what makes him tick. And from there I did a few sketches, trying to figure out the design. As a general inspiration, apart from just general vampires and spooky stuff, we thought an owl theming would be fun, and that heavily influenced the design throughout this project. Overall, it was really fun to work on and figure out all the small details in the design that convey who this character is, what makes him tick. And I think it came out really well in the end, and I'm excited to show you all my process. Hello, welcome in. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, tell me about this character that we're designing.
Okay, so I brought these notes with me, so I'm just gonna go over this. So I was thinking of doing a paladin warlock who's also a vampire.
That's gonna be interesting.
It is pretty interesting because, you know, he wants to be an ethical vampire, thus, you know, he looks kind of like he's dark and broody and like emo.
Classic vampire.
Classic vampire, except he's just really like nice and sweet.
Okay, what are some of his goals as a character? What's his moral values? You mentioned he's a paladin. Tell me a bit more about that.
Yes, I guess his main goal is to see and experience the world. And
so he's kind of on the younger side.
Yes, he is on the younger side. He
New
vampire.
Okay. Do you have any ideas for like his clothing, his aesthetic?
You know, gothic, dark vibe, like, you know, mysterious. I was thinking a lot of, you know, reds, blacks, and browns.
Okay.
I wanted him to kind of have more of like a scrawny build. And I wanted to do an owl theme.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Kind of bat adjacent.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking like, you know, just very big eyes, red, orange, feather-like hair.
That sounds fun. We can do that for sure.
Okay.
All right. I will get sketching then.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Woo-hoo.
After hearing from my friend what they envisioned for this character, I got to sketching. I started with designing his face, and we actually went through and looked at a bunch of different owls and picked one to kind of influence the design. We decided on the southern white-faced owl because of its color palette and its really striking reddish-orange eyes. With his face, I really wanted it to look a little gaunt and scrawny, but also the first thing noticed to be these piercing, maybe a little unsettling, big owl-like eyes. After getting a face that I liked, I drew up a bunch of different hair variations and consulted with my friend to figure out which one fit best. We went with the one that had a bit of an emo side bang and the back that looked like tail feathers almost. This was really fun to color later, so I'm glad we picked this one. I also wanted to play around with a way to add the ear tufts that some species of owls have. And he does have these, however, we ended up adding little barrettes to pin them down, just to keep the overall silhouette. But there's a few sketches in my sketchbook where the ear tufts are on full display. With his clothing design, I also had to do a lot of trial and error. before coming to something that my friend and I both liked. I wanted his design to be easily read as vampire and gothic, but also he's a paladin. And I didn't want to fall into the trap of, oh, he looks evil and scary just because he's a vampire. The other challenge was I couldn't quite make him look like a normal paladin because he's not a heavy armor user. He's a dexterity-based paladin. To kind of achieve this, the balance between paladin and vampire, since they're kind of inherently opposed, the design we went with was almost a princely or knightly silhouette with a long tunic and then a flowing kind of half cape. Then, to make it still read as gothic, I added a bunch of sharp points to his collars and sleeves, and then used a color palette of reds, warm grays, and blacks with little gold accents to really kind of push that idea. One non-negotiable with his outfit that's in every sketch I did, or variation I did, was he was going to be getting cool platform boots from the start. And I love how they came out. I think they're cute, they're fun, they're really fun to draw. And additionally, another detail was that we gave him a cane sword, partly just because it's cool and also because it made sense with his backstory. At one point, one of his legs got mangled in a trap, and it never quite healed right, so he does actually need a cane. This is also why I added the stitching onto his right pant leg, to kind of both add some visual interest and to kind of show where that injury happened. And overall, with the design, because I was doing so many variations, I have a lot of sketches. And there's also just a lot of elements to a character design sheet, at least that I like to add, because I like to add expressions, items, a full body, and also an action pose. The Wacom One 14 tablet made this really easy to do. It was the perfect size for drawing. I really like where the USB-C is. It's on the side, so it never really gets in the way of drawing. It also can be used as like a second monitor, so you can have your references up on your main screen and then actually draw on the tablet. And the display is just clear and easy to see. And the star of the show, though, is actually the pen. The shortcut buttons on it really optimized my workflow. I had them customized and set them to the pan/zoom function, and then another one that brought up the Clip Studio shortcuts. I really noticed this helping when I was going to color everything, because it was just a lot of the same colors over and over, and I could switch between tools really easily. One of the really fun things to do that did actually also have its own canvas was the action pose, figuring out how to do the smear lines for the sword, adding his spectral shield, and just making him look heroic and cool and figuring out his fighting style. I really enjoyed doing that for my friend. It was also just really satisfying to bring all the different elements together at the end. One of the last things we actually added to his sheet was his name, which ended up being Peregrine Coquinos. Because when I started this design, my friend didn't have a name for the character. And we came across Peregrine, which means wanderer or traveler in Latin, which fits with his whole theme of being a person wanting to explore the world because he didn't get to see much of it growing up. And I think it adds a nice little detail, even if it's definitely going to get him confused with the falcon. And that's okay. Overall, this design was really, really fun to work on, and I love how the final sheet came out. It has a nice balance to it, and I'm really quite excited to see what story unfolds with this character in the campaign he's in. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Bye-bye.